Hey guys, welcome back to another 6 minutes for Thursday, December 15th. I'm Jason Fulmore, SC Russell, and yeah, we already dropped one today. What to watch this weekend. You should totally check it out, especially tonight, App State versus North Carolina in their duel. But there's going to be tons of action around the Southeast this weekend. Yeah, check that out. This episode is our special series with Osceola's Corey Haase as we talk about another aspect of the knockout as we hit the 10th annual knockout next week. Today, we're talking about the most dominant performance in knockout history. We've come up with 5. Do you agree? Disagree? Yeah, check it out. Let us know. And yeah, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Corey Haase. See ya. All right, back with Corey Haase, and we're talking, I don't know, the 8 days of knockout. I don't know what whatever it is, the countdown to the knockout. And today we're talking the most dominant performances in knockout history. And I think before we get to that, Corey, number one, do you have anything to clear up on any of the past videos that you want to make sure that you've now reflected back and want to kind of, amend anything?
So the one we were just talking about was the best wrestler to never win knockout, and some different criteria was kind of thrown at us. D'Agostino, who never actually won knockout, but is now a 2-time All-American, NCAA All-American Division One. He never won knockout, and he never won states in Florida. And he's probably had the most success in the NCAAs in recent memory for Florida.
All right. So actually, I think what you bring up is really important, because how do you define it? How do you define the most dominant? What is the most dominant? How did you define it?
I mean, I just looked at who had the most pins and stuff. Maybe how quick they pinned everybody. Those are kind of some ways that maybe I kind of looked at it. And we'll get into that in a second. But on who I think and what I think. But
that's how you define it.
That's how I kind of define it. Who pinned everybody? Who is dominant. One thing I think I've learned from all the research is people may criticize our seeding person, but the seeding to this almost holds true completely. So that makes it really hard to find this topic and what will be our next topic as well. So
yeah, no, I actually think that you're right in that it's been seeded really pretty good up to this point. And when we get to the bracket busters, you're going to see that you don't get a whole lot of lower seeds coming through at all. So that just is a testament to the seeding, and whoever does the seeding, as long as it's not Rick or Bird, I'm totally good with giving, a pat on the back to whoever does it.
We won't tell anyone. Top secret.
All right. So most dominant, and you and I came up with a bunch of different names, and I want to go ahead and say a few names, like Kyle Goldhofer, 2018, 120 pounds, pinned Cataldi in the finals, had 4 falls, a major decision, gave up 8 points. Danny Martinez, 113-pound 2019 champ from Southwest Miami, as a freshman, pinned Pal Gilbert in the finals. Connor Ross, 195 for Springstead, had 5 falls, 3 in the first period on his way to a knockout title. Shea Hill from South Dade in 2016 was also really dominant, had a 19-second fall in his finals. So those are a few names that we came up with, but didn't make our top 5. Mm-hmm. And I think that you and I are on the same page as far as our 5, but maybe we're not in agreement on where they stand as the most dominant. So let's get into that. All right. Number 1, and maybe we'll go from the furthest back in time to now, and that is Fox Baldwin, 170 pounds, 2014, Osceola, 5 falls, 4 in the first period. One of the things that might be a little bit of a criticism of his most dominant performance might be the fact that the knockout wasn't as tough as it is now. I mean, it
we've
just
grown.
Yeah, it's grown by leaps and bounds. Right. And the level of competition has gone up tremendously.
I had someone text me some stats, which is kind of interesting. So I won't go through all of it, but starting back in 2012, the first year of the knockout, there were 26 teams. Okay. And can you guess how many we have in 2022 now?
63.
I think we're at 64 actually.
Okay.
Last year we were at 62, and I think in last year's kind of hard to judge because we lost a lot of kids and teams to COVID from coming. I think this year it's going to be our biggest. So you can see the growth of it, and that definitely has some clout on the topic here because it was tough, but it wasn't what it is today. So,
correct. Yeah. And honestly, again, you look at some of the different weight classes, and some weight classes, and we're going to mention a couple of weight classes here in the next couple of people where, they had a dominant performance, but maybe the weight class wasn't as tough as maybe some of the other weight classes. Does that play a role? All right. So let's go to number 4. And this is in 2020, Chase Horn, 285-pound champ, 5 falls. Only 1 match went to the second period. He only gave up 2 points the entire time and pinned Marvin Collins, in the first period of the knockout final.
For like some roll, something else. And
but he's shooting and running bars, and you can't.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of Knockout 2020.
And we have our champions.
We do have our champions. They have some nice singlets. Chase Horn raising the roof.
I know you were around. That was a pretty dominant performance.
It was very dominant. And honestly, when you look back at Chase Horn's history at the knockout, the kid pretty much pinned everybody he would wrestle. He didn't really have a whole lot of close matches. He was pretty dominant through his whole history of it. And I think he could have been a 4-time champ, but he didn't come his freshman year. But the kid dominated all the time. Every time he would come. So,
well, and
I wasn't there that year. It was quite interesting.
And we didn't get a matchup between these two dominant individuals that we were all hoping for. And that's number 3. And this isn't a countdown as far as our order yet, but I'm just our third person that we're talking about. And that is Harley Andrews, 220 champ from Tuttle, Oklahoma. He had 5 falls. 1 match went to the second period, just like Chase Horn, except he only gave up 1 point the entire tournament. And we were hoping to see Andrews versus Horn. I know all of us were kind of waiting for that match.
I can remember, I think me and you had a conversation about that, whether Andrews was going to go up to heavyweight or not, just to see that matchup. And unfortunately, he didn't. But again, same thing, just dominated through that weight class.
Ooh! Andrews in on a quick shot, but Marshall looking like he was going to go for the go behind. You don't see these scrambles often.
No, you don't. Not at 220.
The athleticism in both guys.
And that was impressive. Impressive wrestling by Harley Andrews.
Andrews keeping the Turk, looking for a hip tip. Looking to stick him.
Just goes to show you why he is the number 10 ranked heavyweight.
Looks like a heavyweight too.
That right there was impressive.
Definitely has the size.
A lot of times, some of these bigger weights, it's a little bit harder to, it's easier for them to get falls. I shouldn't say that because I was obviously a big guy wrestler too, but there's a lot of falls in them. So, but these two are dominant. Chase Horn's at, where did he end up at college?
North Carolina State.
Yeah. See, I didn't want to mess it up because I almost said another school, but, and then I think Harley Andrews ended up at Nebraska.
I believe so, yeah.
Both D1 wrestlers. I'm not taking anything, but that they're heavyweights. They dominated.
Yeah.
So, all right. Continue.
All right. So let's jump down to a lighter weight, but same year, 2020, and Brennan Van Hoke, 132-pound champ, Palmetto Ridge, 4 falls, a tech fall, pinned Sebastian Melguzio in the finals in the first period. And I remember that his entire run through the bracket, and I was just amazed at how he just dismantled a really good bracket.
Ooh, little roll. He hit that.
And the 2 is confirmed. I don't know. I don't think he had full control yet. That wall came as soon as I think the 2 would have came up if he hadn't hit it. So it was close. It's okay. He was down earlier too, so. Uh-oh. Close to his back there, which is scary definitely for Melguizo. No doubt. He's got that Turk in. Oh, and Melguizo put to his back. Wow! First period hit.
He did. That was wild. And I remember the finals, like, all right, well, this will be a good close match. And you turn around and the match is already over. Like, dang, he was crushing kids that year.
He was.
Yeah. And it wasn't like he was, Melguizo's he's a wrestler for Campbell now. And, it's not like he's pinning slouches either. So it was very dominating.
Yeah. And
Wow.
our last one is from last year, 2021. He'll also be back in the field this year. Sawyer Bartelt, 220 for South Dade. In 2021, he gave up one single point, beat Sammy Brown of Jefferson, Georgia in the finals 13-0. And if you watched any of Sawyer's matches, I mean, it was domination.
Yeah, and that's been Sawyer's career in high school. In the regular season, the kid just dominates people. He's hardly been taken down, hardly been scored on in the state of Florida in any in-season tournaments. Now he goes out of season and has some good matches and stuff and is scored on, but the kids is hard to score on. You can't score on them, and again, he's a bigger weight, but he just dominates kids.
Yeah. All right. So you've heard the 5. Can you count them down for me on who you think is number 5 to number 1? And then I'll give you mine.
Didn't we have 4? Do we have a 5th?
So Fox Baldwin.
Oh yeah, Fox. Yeah.
Chase, Andrews, Van Hoke, Bartelt.
Yeah. So if I'm going to have to go the other way because that's the way I work. I would probably put
counting backwards is always a challenge. I'm with you.
Yeah, I can't do that. I think you got to take number 1. Van Hoke's probably got to be pretty good at number 1. I mean, he had other kids in the bracket, and just to show that he dominated like that was pretty impressive. After that, I think I could go with Chase Horn. Chase Horn, like I said, dominated every year he went. There was no one that would challenge. And I would always remember, like, because one of my roles is I kind of help find teams to wrestle in it and stuff. And we're always trying to find another heavyweight to compete with them. And then we never, haven't
been as successful. Yeah.
Yeah. Harley Andrews, maybe number 3, which is hard because I want to put Sawyer higher because, but he's got a couple years left and he probably is going to put in a performance here in the next 2 years that'll outbeat himself even. So maybe he can be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Man, but then I'm leaving Fox out, which I'm sure Fox will text me later, but the Fox ties for number 2 or 3, but it goes back to what the tournament was back then. It was a very good group of Florida teams. It was Camden, which is great, and it was
Cleveland.
Yeah, those were really your teams back then. So it's tough, but obviously Fox dominated his entire career. National pins leader and all that came with Fox. So
yeah.
I think that's where I leave it. I don't know if I had hard numbers there, but that's my 1 through 5.
I like it. I like it. Are you gonna get some grief because you put the Osceola kid number 5?
Yeah, probably.
All right. Okay.
So he was really number 1. I messed it up. He was number 1.
So I actually agree with you. So number 5, I think, is Fox, not because he wasn't necessarily the most dominant, but I do weigh in the brackets and it was not as tough of a bracket. And that has a huge impact for me as I go down this, because I agree with you. I think Harley Andrews is actually number 4. Sawyer Bartelt's number 3. Chase Horn's number 2. And because of the quality of the bracket from Brendan Van Hoekie's bracket, and he had 4 falls, a tech fall, and pinned Melguzio in the first period, I think that's the most dominant performance in the knockout history.
Yeah, it was quite impressive. It still is. I know there was another one. Now, this isn't taken away from him or anything either. I know Basile had a pretty good bracket last year, and I think he went through it pretty cleanly as well.
He did. Yeah, he did. You know, what's one of the things that's always really interesting is that, you know, I mentioned the number of points. Like Andrews only gave up 1 point, Chase Horn only gave up 2 points, and those sorts of things. And Sawyer only gave up a point. But even, you know, like Goldhofer or Basile, like you were talking about, they were dominant, but they did have more. They did give up more points throughout the course.
And they weren't pinning.
Right. Not nearly as fast or as maybe as dominant as some of those heavier guys.
Yeah, those were just really those are our 5. Those are the ones that just brought it the whole time. So I wonder if I'm curious to see if anyone is able to top those performances. If I had to bet, I'm going to probably guess Sawyer will probably beat himself out a couple of times over the next 2 years. That
was going to be my question for you. And I agree with you. I think that Sawyer is the person who would look at it and go, I did that as a sophomore. Yeah. And I'm about to run through this. No one from what I looked through had first period pins in every single match at the knockout, you know, in their bracket. So maybe that's the next level.
I know these kids now, they're going to be out there trying to do it. So it might be kind of funny watching someone get reversed to their back because they're trying some crazy move to pin somebody. And then in the future, if you want to come to knockout next year and you're a stud 220 pounder in this country and try to beat Sawyer and take out his record, hey, come on.
Yeah. No, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Anyone that wants to try to challenge him.
All right, man.
I guess that's the way we're recruited.
So knockout Wednesday, Thursday of next week. We're counting down. If you haven't checked out the last 2 that we did, check those out. We've also got more. I'm actually going to talk with Lucas Da Silva, and we're going to do a little bit of a preview of it because I can't have Corey do a preview. Corey's got a little bias. So anyway, but check back with us. It's going to be fun.
20th and 21st, next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. 20th and 21st.
Isn't
next
it?
Tuesday and Wednesday. I thought it was 21st and 22nd. Am I wrong?
We got to check our dates.
According to this.
Yeah. According to that is correct. You're going to need to cut that out.
All right, Corey, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Sound good?